Have you ever stopped to think that perhaps the most terrifying angels aren't those who defy God, but those who carry out his darkest orders? Forget the traditional image of angels as purely benevolent celestial beings. What you're about to discover are figures that, in many ways, make the devil himself seem like a mere side character. These angels bear the weight of terrifying missions, from guiding souls to the abyss to sowing chaos and destruction on earth. Angels, often portrayed as beings of pure light and goodness, have a much more complex and, at times, disturbing representation. The traditional image of angels with white wings and glowing halos, always ready to protect and guide, is only part of the story. In fact, there are angels whose missions go beyond comfort and protection. They are responsible for bringing chaos and destruction, fulfilling divine orders that may seem incomprehensible to us humans. When we look at history and various sacred scriptures, we notice that these beings are not one-dimensional. They carry layers of responsibilities that are not always easy to accept, and it is here that the true nature of these beings begins to be revealed. Imagine an angel, not as a gentle and comforting guardian, but as a dark entity, an executor of heaven's harshest orders. The idea might be uncomfortable, but it's crucial to understand that just as there is light and darkness in the world, there are angels that personify each of these forces. These dark angels do not act out of whim or malice, but as part of a necessary cosmic balance. They are like the scalpel in a surgeon's hand, cutting to heal, eliminating to protect what is most sacred. When we think about their actions, we need to remember that what seems like destruction may actually be a form of purification. It's curious how popular culture often ignores or softens this duality. Movies, books, and even works of art tend to focus on the gentler side of angels, leaving aside the complexity of these celestial beings. However, if we look closer, we will find references that speak of angels who brought plagues, destroyed cities, and even triggered natural disasters. These actions, as terrifying as they may seem, are described as acts of divine justice, executed with implacable precision. Here, there is no room for doubt or mercy. The angels fulfill their function with a coldness that is only understood when we see the larger picture of divine justice. The perception of what an angel is can also vary from culture to culture. In some traditions, they are seen as fierce warriors, protectors of divine orders who do not hesitate to use force when necessary. In others, they are silent messengers who observe and execute orders almost automatically. However, regardless of culture or religion, one thing is certain. These beings are not simple. They bear the weight of tasks that often challenge our understanding, and that, for believers, can only be carried out by those who are above human laws. So, when we think of angels, it's essential to remember that they are not just decorative figures in stained glass or statues. They are active forces in the universe, with roles that go beyond our worldly desires and understandings. The next time you imagine an angel, try to see it not just as a symbol of peace, but also as an agent of universal balance, where light and shadow coexist harmoniously. After all, without darkness, light wouldn't shine as brightly, and it is within this balance that angels operate. Azrael, the angel of death, is a figure that, in itself, evokes a mixture of fear and reverence. He is often seen as God's helper, entrusted with one of the most feared tasks by us humans, the collection of souls. In various traditions, Azrael is not just a ruthless executioner but a guide to the beyond, fulfilling divine will with precision and compassion. Imagine him as a silent executor who, contrary to what many might think, does not act with cruelty but with a profound sense of duty and justice. He is the one who comes to us in the final moment, not to cause pain, but to lead us to the next stage of our existence. It's interesting to observe how Azrael is depicted in different cultures and religions. In Islam, for example, he is known as God's helper, a being who acts in accordance with divine orders, whether collecting souls or administering necessary punishments. His role is vital to maintaining cosmic order, as he ensures that the cycle of life and death remains unbroken. This view of Azrael makes us reflect on the inevitability of death and how it is an integral part of the divine plan. Just as one season gives way to another, Azrael acts as the catalyst that ensures the continuity of this eternal dance between beginning and end. Azrael also challenges our understanding of death. For many, he represents the end, but through the lens of spirituality, he can be seen as the beginning of a new journey. The angel of death, with his imposing and serene presence, reminds us that death is not the opposite of life, but an intrinsic part of it. If we stop to think, we will understand that, in many traditions, the encounter with Azrael is described not as a traumatic event, but as a smooth transition to a new reality. This makes us question, what if, instead of fearing this encounter, we saw it as a return home, a reunion with our true essence? Another fascinating point about Azrael is his duality. He is both the bearer of the end and the guardian of the new beginning. When Azrael approaches, he brings with him a certain peace because his arrival means that earthly suffering has come to an end. For those who believe, knowing that Azrael will be there to guide them at the final moment can be a great comfort. He does not come to tear us from this world by force, but to free us from the chains that bind us here, gently leading us to where we are meant to go next. This vision transforms the fear of death into a serene acceptance of the inevitable. It's curious to note that despite his function, Azrael is not seen as an evil being. On the contrary, he is respected and even venerated in various traditions. His image may be frightening to some, but to others, it is comforting because it represents the certainty that, in the end, everyone will be led by divine hands. Azrael shows us that death is not an enemy, but an essential part of existence, something that must be understood and accepted, not feared. And so, he teaches us that, ultimately, death is as natural as life, and that both walk side by side in the journey of the soul. Abaddon, known as the Destroyer, is a figure that carries within him the weight of an uncontrollable and feared force. His name already evokes images of devastation, and his mission is precisely that, to bring destruction and punishment to the world when the end times draw near. Unlike angels of light, who radiate compassion and serenity, Abaddon is a personification of divine wrath, an angel whose purpose is to execute justice in an unyielding manner. He is described in the Bible as the king of the locusts in the Apocalypse, leading armies that bring chaos to earth. But is his action merely purposeless destruction? Or is there, deep down, a divine logic in what he does? It's essential to understand that Abaddon does not act on a whim, but in fulfillment of a greater plan that is often beyond human comprehension. He is the agent that brings purification through destruction, a concept that can be difficult to grasp. However, it's important to remember that, just as fire burns to purify, Abaddon acts as the instrument that removes what is impure, preparing the way for something new and better. His action is drastic, yes, but necessary for rebirth. He is the strong wind that topples dead trees so that new ones can grow in their place. For many, Abaddon might seem like the villain of the story, but it's crucial to look beyond appearances. He is not an angel who acts with malice or pleasure in suffering. On the contrary, he fulfills his role with the same seriousness as any other angel. The destruction he brings is not meaningless. It is a component of the natural cycle of life and death, of creation and destruction. Just as a forest needs to be burned so that new seeds can germinate, Abaddon's role is to prepare the ground for renewal. In his essence, he is a guardian of balance, ensuring that evil does not prosper indefinitely. However, Abaddon's image is not just that of a ruthless destroyer. He also represents divine justice in its purest and most severe form. When Abaddon appears, it's a sign that divine patience has run out, and the time has come to settle accounts. He is the executor of justice that comes after all chances for repentance have been exhausted. In many cultures, this role is seen as absolutely necessary for maintaining cosmic order. Without the presence of a force like Abaddon, evil could grow unchecked, destroying what is good in the universe. Ultimately, thinking about Abaddon leads us to reflect on the very nature of evil and destruction. Could it be that, in certain situations, destruction is necessary for something new to emerge? Abaddon challenges us to look beyond the surface and understand that, in the grand scheme of things, even what seems negative might have a positive purpose. He serves as a reminder that life is made up of cycles, and for every ending, a new beginning is waiting to happen. Abaddon, the Destroyer, is also a creator, though in a way that few of us may fully understand. Do you want to dive even deeper into biblical themes like this one? Check out our exclusive ebook in the comments. It offers detailed analysis and spiritual reflections that complement this video. Don't miss out, download your copy now. Azazel, the Angel of War, is a figure whose story intertwines with the very essence of human conflict. Since ancient times, he has been seen as the one who brought weapons to men, teaching them the art of war and, consequently, opening the doors to violence and sin. Azazel is not just a fallen angel. He is the symbol of knowledge that, once revealed, forever changed the course of human history. By presenting weapons to humans, he not only introduced tools of combat but also awakened ambition, pride, and the thirst for power that so often leads to ruin. But is Azazel merely a villain? Or does his action reveal a deeper layer of free will? The figure of Azazel makes us question the duality between good and evil. He didn't force humans to use the weapons he taught them to create. He gave them the knowledge to do so. Here, we see a crucial point. Knowledge itself is not inherently good or evil. It all depends on how it's used. Azazel reminds us that with great power comes great responsibility. By teaching the secrets of war, he also placed in human hands the choice between just defense and unbridled aggression. It's an interesting parallel with modern technology, where innovations can both save lives and destroy them. Azazel is also known for leading other fallen angels who joined him in his mission on Earth. Together, they descended and took human wives, giving rise to a lineage of powerful and often destructive beings. These acts of rebellion and transgression were not without consequences. Azazel and his followers were punished, but their legacy remained, deeply rooted in human culture. The stories of mythological heroes, demigods, and giants can, in part, be traced back to these fallen angels, showing how Azazel influenced both spirituality and mythology across various cultures worldwide. Azazel's impact extends beyond the battlefield. By introducing humanity to war and sin, he also set in motion a chain of events that forced us to confront our own weaknesses and limitations. War, in all its brutality, exposes both the worst and the best in humanity. Boundless cruelty, but also courage and the will to fight for an ideal. Azazel, the Angel of War, forces us to look in the mirror and recognize that the potential for destruction, as well as creation, lies within each of us. He reminds us that, ultimately, it is we who choose the path we will take. And so, Azazel teaches us a bitter but necessary lesson. Knowledge is a double-edged sword, and it is up to each of us to decide how we will wield it. What he brought to humanity was not just destruction, but also the ability to fight for justice, protect the weak, and preserve what is sacred. War, with all its devastation, can also be a force for change, an opportunity to redefine what is right and what is wrong. Azazel, therefore, is not just the instigator of conflict, but also the catalyst for transformation, challenging us to use the power he gave us with wisdom and compassion. Gadriel, the Angel of Vanity, is a figure that brings to light the complexity of beauty and human desire. Many traditions depict him as the celestial being who taught women the secrets of vanity, showing them how to use adornments, cosmetics, and other artifices to enhance their beauty. This knowledge, however seemingly harmless, opened a dangerous path to superficiality and pride. By imparting these lessons, Gadriel planted the seeds of one of humanity's greatest challenges: the obsession with appearance and the exaggerated value placed on outer beauty, to the detriment of spirituality and inner virtue. Vanity, however, is not a simple concept to understand. Gadriel reminds us that the pursuit of beauty is not, in itself, something negative. After all, beauty can inspire, enchant, and elevate the spirit. However, when this pursuit becomes an end in itself, disconnected from any higher purpose, it can lead to downfall. Gadriel symbolizes that fine line between using beauty as an expression of divine harmony and falling into pride and superficiality. He challenges us to reflect on the motivations behind our actions. Are we adorning ourselves to express something greater or simply to feed our ego? In some traditions, Gadriel is also seen as just and honest, which leads us to consider another facet of this angel. He teaches us that vanity can be used for good, as long as it doesn't become an idol. A practical example of this can be seen in how people dress or present themselves for special occasions. Using vanity to elevate the spirit, such as preparing for a religious event or a significant moment, is an example of how Gadriel can be seen in a positive light. He reminds us that outer beauty can be an expression of inner beauty, as long as it is aligned with deeper values. Gadriel also warns us of the danger of unchecked vanity, which can lead to self-idolatry. We live in an era where personal image is widely disseminated on social media, and the pressure to meet beauty standards can be overwhelming. Gadriel makes us reflect on how far we are willing to go to achieve this idealized image and the consequences this can have on our soul and our relationships. Vanity can become a prison, where personal worth is measured only by appearance, not by character or actions. On the other hand, Gadriel also offers us a way out of this trap. He shows us that it is possible to admire and cultivate beauty without being consumed by it. True beauty, he teaches us, comes from the harmony between the exterior and the interior, and this can only be achieved when we do not become slaves to vanity. Gadriel challenges us to look beyond the mirror and find the true essence that resides in each of us. He reminds us that, in the end, it is the soul's light that matters most, not just the outer appearance. Cocabiel, the angel of the stars, is a fascinating figure that connects heaven and earth in a unique way. Known for teaching astrology and sciences to humans, Cocabiel represents humanity's innate curiosity to understand the cosmos and the mysteries of the universe. Imagine an angel who not only observes the stars but also shares his knowledge about them, illuminating minds and hearts with truths that are beyond the reach of most. Cocabiel is the bearer of ancient wisdom, an imposing figure who, according to some traditions, stands 300 meters tall with 6 black wings, a celestial giant who hovers over us like a beacon of knowledge. Astrology, often relegated to the realm of mysticism, takes on a new meaning under Cocabiel's tutelage. He doesn't teach the knowledge of the stars merely as a way to predict the future, but as a means to understand one's own place in the universe. Through Cocabiel, we learn that the stars are more than just simple points of light in the sky. They are maps, guides that show us how to navigate through life. The influence of the stars on Earth is real, and Cocabiel helps us decipher these signs, offering a deeper understanding of how we are all connected to a vast and intricate universe. Cocabiel makes us reflect on the impact that knowledge of the stars has had on the history of humanity. Since ancient times, the study of the sky has guided entire civilizations, influencing everything from agriculture to religion. Under Cocabiel's guidance, the ancients developed calendars, created myths, and interpreted celestial movements as divine messages. He reminds us that the sky has always been a source of inspiration and a reminder that there is more in the universe than our eyes can see. The quest to understand the cosmos is, ultimately, a quest to understand ourselves. It's curious how, in many cultures, the stars are seen as the dwelling places of the gods, and Cocabiel, as the guardian of this knowledge, invites us to look up and contemplate the infinite. He is the angel who teaches us that although we may be small in comparison to the vastness of the universe, we are also part of something greater and more magnificent. This understanding can bring both humility and empowerment, for in recognizing our place in the cosmos, we also recognize our potential to influence it. Cocabiel shows us that the study of the stars is not just a way to look outward, but also a way to look inward. Finally, Cocabiel reminds us that the knowledge of the stars is a gift, but also a responsibility. As we unravel the mysteries of the universe, we must also be prepared to use this knowledge wisely. Science and spirituality, in their purest forms, are not in conflict but in harmony, and Cocabiel guides us in this balance. He teaches us that the true power of knowledge lies in how we use it for the good of all. As the angel of the stars, he not only illuminates the path but also inspires us to keep exploring, learning, and growing, always with one eye on the sky and the other on the heart. Masima, the angel of injustice, is a figure that provokes fear and discomfort wherever he goes. He is described as the one who brings punishment in the name of God, but in a way that often challenges our understanding of justice. Unlike angels who clearly operate in the realm of light or darkness, Masima dwells in a gray area where right and wrong are not always easily distinguishable. His mission is to command an army of Nephilim, beings who, like him, bear the mark of rebellion and punishment. But is Masima really the villain he seems to be? Or does his existence reveal something deeper about the nature of evil? Mastima is often seen as the executor of divine justice, but his way of acting can seem cruel and relentless. He is the angel who intervenes when other celestial forces cannot or will not act. Under his command, punishment is not just a matter of retribution, but of teaching, even though the method may seem brutal. He reminds us that, in some circumstances, divine justice may not be what we expect or desire. Mastima's presence forces us to confront the darker areas of justice, where simple answers are not enough, and where suffering can be seen as a form of redemption. It's interesting to note that, in many traditions, Mastima is also seen as a tester, someone who puts humans to the test to reveal their true character. He is the agent who, by bringing suffering and difficulty, forces people to show who they really are. Think of him as a kind of living trial, who, despite his apparent cruelty, has the purpose of strengthening those who undergo his tests. Through Mastima's lens, injustice can be a tool for revealing truth and spiritual growth. He reminds us that, sometimes, it is adversity that shapes the best of us. On the other hand, Mastima is also associated with evil, being considered by many as the father of all evil. This duality in his figure makes us reflect on the role of evil in the divine plan. If Mastima acts under divine orders, is the evil he brings truly unjust? Or is the concept of injustice, as we understand it, limited by our human perspective? Mastima challenges us to think more deeply about these questions, considering that what seems to be injustice may, in fact, be serving a greater purpose that we cannot fully understand. Furthermore, Mastima teaches us that evil is not something external to us, but something that also exists within each of us. He is the reflection of wrong choices, selfish desires, and thoughtless actions. By confronting us with injustice, Mastima offers us the chance to see our own flaws and make peace with them. He is the dark mirror that shows us our failures, not to destroy us, but to give us the opportunity to grow and change. In the end, Mastima is not just the angel of injustice. He is the angel of revelation, the one who shows us the truth, no matter how harsh it may be. After learning about these terrifying angels, it's impossible not to wonder, to what extent are we truly prepared to understand the forces that operate in the universe? These angels are not just figures from legends or myths. They represent deep and complex aspects of divine justice, the duality between good and evil, and human nature itself. And if you want to keep exploring these fascinating topics and gain knowledge that few have access to, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Together, we can continue this journey of discovery and transformation. So, what will you do now with all this knowledge? The decision is in your hands.